Hello folks, today we are in a Tesla Model 3. This is a long-range version, and for those watching in the peanut gallery and those unaware, there are two copies of this video. The first is a standard 4K Ultra HD, and the second is a 360 VR. So whatever one you happen to be watching right now, if you want to see it in the other format, the link to the other version is in the description box below. So while my Model S is currently in for servicing and blowing out the last of my referral or service credits that I have, getting things taken care of because those are expiring very soon, I am in this lovely Model 3. And then we will also be doing a Model Y review, as my sister just bought a brand new long-range Model Y. Spectacular vehicles. Now this is my first time in a Model 3 for the long term. Actually, having this as a loaner was my first time actually driving a Model 3. I've been passenger in them before. I will say it is a much different experience compared to my Model S, and a night and day different experience compared to my Model Y. Couple of notable things. The vehicle does feel considerably lighter, and for good reason, because it weighs a lot lighter. It's approximately 1,000 pounds less than my Model S, and about 1,800 to 2,000 pounds less than my Model X. So there is a huge weight difference. Now, unfortunately, Tesla does put chill mode on all loaners now, so can't really get a good feel of the acceleration. But even with chill mode, this is a very nimble vehicle. Quite a bit more nimble than the Model S, and even more so than the Model X. Of course, the Model X is a very large SUV. Autopilot. Now, this was a trade-in to Tesla, which Tesla likes using trade-ins for loaner vehicles now, and it does not have the full self-drive option on it. It does have the enhanced autopilot option, and this car currently has, let's see, what is it? Autopilot computer version 2.5, which I will say actually handles things very well. You get a lot more features than you did with Autopilot 2 computer. More driving here, less chitty chatty. And realistically, it's very snappy to acquire the lines and allow me to activate autopilot. But here is where there's a major difference. Now, the shift stock is also the autopilot stock. So you use the shift stock for cruise control and autopilot, unlike the Model S and X, which have it on the left side. So that is a big difference. I really miss not having the dedicated stock for both distance and activation and deactivation. Which, I mean, to me, that is quite a big deal. Tesla got rid of a lot more physical controls. Might not seem like it, but they did. And they relied heavily on this 15-inch screen for controls. Now, you can now adjust your cruise control and autopilot / full self-drive following distance on the screen. I did figure out you can also use the scroll wheel here. The left one does volume control and skipping tracks. The right one allows you to adjust follow distance. You can see that right there, as well as speed. And if you press it in, navigate to Tesla Milwaukee. it activates the voice commands. Awesome, right? Yes and no. I like the actual scroll wheels. Those work great. However, they incorporated the right and left button, whereas the Model S and X each have two clicky buttons above each other. The Model 3 and also the Model Y, because the controls are pretty much identical in these vehicles, do not. They incorporate the left and right clicky buttons straight into the scroll wheel. It's more like a ball wheel than a scroll wheel. Let's see if I can activate, if it'll let me activate right here. Got a little bit of line. Yep, let me activate it because there's a little bit of line there. This is something I'll be demonstrating more on my Model X in the future, but we're actually on autopilot right now with no lines. Now they won't let you activate autopilot without lines, but it was I activated it just as I came across that intersection. There was like a 20-foot section of line, just enough to activate. So this just shows you, especially with that beta rollout of full self-drive, that the cars are more than capable of handling roads that do not have lines on them. So anyways, back to the wheels. I'm having trouble because, yes, I can push. You have to slide the whole wheel to the right. Oop. Turn the volume, mute that. Okay, Boingo radio on. To me, it's a little bit difficult to slide the wheel to the right without also pressing in the wheel at the same time. I don't know if that just has to do with it being a loaner, but given that this vehicle has, what, 13,560 miles on, 1,000 of which I put on it, I don't really think it's wear and tear on the buttons. I think this is a poor design, personally. Overall, the vehicle needs much more buttons. You may have heard at this point about the gentleman in Germany, I believe, that got in an accident. He was trying to turn on his windshield wipers, increase the speed or something, which is done on a menu here. There we go. Which is done on a sub-menu here. And while he was trying to get his wipers at a faster speed during a rain, we're still on autopilot, even without lines. Awesome. How awesome is that? Well, he was trying to get the wipers to work better by filling on the screen instead of an intuitive control on the stalk here. He got into an accident. Of course, he got a ticket. Apparently, Germany does not consider using the screen as an essential built-in function of the vehicle. So, according to Germany, you don't need windshield wipers. But, yeah, I'm not going to talk more on that. But that just brings me back to the need for more physical controls. Moving on, something I find absolutely awesome is the ability to do this. You can see what the car sees. You can look around all different directions. You can even see behind you. Pretty neat. Fiddling with the screen here, swiping up and down, that's going to take a lot of getting used to make sure to memorize which screens go where. I'm sure once you're really used to it, it'll be much more intuitive. Again, lack of physical controls kind of screws that up. You do have other things here like backup camera. I like the view. The backup camera view is great. I will note, I think there is a big quality difference between the Model S, X, and the 3 camera, as there's a lot of color bleeding and ghosting on the backup camera on this vehicle. You can see it when you pass a different color object. You get the color separation that you'd see on a very cheap camera. I do not get that on either my Autopilot 1 2016 Model S or my Autopilot 2 / it's actually been upgraded to full self-drive computer Model X, also 2016. The side cameras are considerably more blocky looking. I personally like driving, and we're finally coming up to a stop sign here. And now it's raining. So, let's see. And of course, as of yet, Tesla's auto wipers, after 8 years now of producing full production cars, still work like complete crap. And people are out playing frisbee golf. Awesome. Back to this. I love keeping the backup camera on all the time. Number one, Teslas are notoriously hard to see out the back window. It doesn't matter what trim level you get. The Model 3 took it one step further. The rear view mirror is probably about 30 to 50% smaller than the mirror in my Model S and my Model X, which makes it even more difficult. When I had the car seats in the back, I couldn't see very much at all, so I like leaving the backup camera on still. But if you do that, because it's such a small screen and it's landscape instead of vertical, you cannot have the map open. Now, even if they had at least a small dash screen, you could possibly have that there with turn-by-turn nav over here. Now, I know Tesla's trying to go get to full self-drive. Full self-drive's not for everybody, and even though they got beta rollout, it's still going to be a ways off before it will do all your driving. Oh, you can kind of see the ghosting right now. It's a little bit choppy. So, that brings me back to this. So you gotta go, let's turn here. Park here for a moment. A bridge. Bridge over a creek. Yeah. Which brings me back to this. What was I saying? Don't remember. Okay, now I gotta shut the wipers off. Since I can't do that from a stock, I gotta bring up a menu and shut that off. Now, if I were to leave auto wipers on, they kept going off even with a completely dry window. That's a great way to wear out your wipers, and it's a great way to streak your windows. So I'm going to shut that off. Park here. Nav is great. That works just how you'd expect. I did play around with Sentry mode on this one. It works exactly the same as my Model X with full self-drive. Now, this car kind of looks like it now just because the black and white cameras favor the red tint and red and green, so it kind of looks like it, but or red and, was it red and green or red and blue? Can't remember. But this car does feature still the black and white forward-facing and side marker cameras. Color rear, of course. Now everything is done with full color. Audio, pretty self-explanatory there. I can't do a audio test to show you. I mean, you'd be listening to it through a built-in camera microphones anyways. However, I was extremely impressed with the audio system on this car. It sounded actually really good. I like this immersive sound feature. My X and my S do not have that. I don't know if that's particular to just the Model 3 and the Ys so far, but it actually sounds really, really good. Let's open up entertainment. You got your entertainment here. You got your Netflix, Hulu, everything you'd expect with the MCU 2. So center screen computer version 2 or higher. You got the arcade. That works pretty much how you'd expect. Beach Buggy Racing. Let's just pull that up here. Compared to the Model S and the X, with the landscape screen, you get a full screen view. The S and the X with the vertical screen, you get a much smaller view. Same thing goes with YouTube and Netflix and the other video programs. You're not going to get the widescreen experience, which is a toss-up. I mean, yeah, it's nice, but it's, who cares? I mean, you're talking that big compared to that big. Yeah, it is a bit of a difference. And I mean, I found Beach Buggy Racing does work a little better. The controls are a little more responsive. So, and it does use the accelerator and the brake pedal, just as you expect. Tap key card and press brake to drive. This has got to be one of my biggest, gripes about this vehicle. I can't stand the damn key card. Thank God Tesla has a fob now, because this thing is a pain in the backside. Unlock the car. You got to hold it to the side of the car. Get in, and then, instinctively I shove it back in my pocket. I get in, hit the brake. Oh, yep, you got to take the key card out again. Hold it somewhere down here, sometimes over here. Sometimes I'm back here before it works. Now, and then shove the key card back in. And thankfully, I left my window open a couple days ago because it was nice out. And I was getting in and out a lot because I shoved the key there and I closed the door and the car locked itself. I couldn't get the door open. Thankfully, the window was down and I was able to reach in. Because I left the key card in the car, I had to then reach in, grab it, and so the alarm wouldn't go off, unlock the door that way. So I'm not a fan. I am a fan of this, and I'd love to have it for the S and the X. I'd love it as a emergency, because it's literally the size of a credit card. This one's kind of warped and bent a bit, even though it's been inside the Teslas. There. Now, if you keep it in your wallet, then you're pulling your wallet out to try and open. So thank God they got a fob, optional, like $300 fob you can buy now. And I guess it does work with your phone too, given that this is a loaner and not on my account. I can't link my phone to use it as a key. But still, that card is a pain in the butt, in my opinion. Let's see. Driving dynamics. Like I said, handling is very good. I'm extremely impressed on how well the Model 3 handles. Braking is also excellent. I got cut in front of yesterday, actually, as I was heading towards the Tesla Service Center to drop some things off. And then as I got cut in front of, I slammed on the brakes and I avoided the accident, while at the same time a recklessly driving semi-truck moved from the right lane directly behind me. So I basically ended up brake checking a semi-truck, not by choice. So I wasn't driving and trying to be a jackass, but shit happens. And apparently that semi-truck driver also was not paying attention too good because his lane was ending. And so braking is excellent. Trunk space is about what you would expect for a small vehicle like this. So, pretty good. Pretty fair. You're not going to fit huge boxes in the trunk. The seats do fold down flat, which give you quite a bit of extra space for longer items. And here's that. Let's put auto on for now. Interior space, I just barely find the seats comfortable. These are narrower, I should say. They really hug your body. I am not a big person. I am 5'6" tall, so not too tall, and I fit just right in this vehicle. Ooh, I was looking at that house before. Oh, just a vacant lot. I fit just right in this vehicle. I'd like to get opinions from some of you larger folk out there that have a Model 3 and how you feel, or how comfortable do you feel these seats are. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think if I was any larger than I am now, that the seat would be as comfortable. It feels too constricted and makes it a little more difficult to get in and out. On the contrary, my father, who's over 6 feet tall and like 250 pounds, I didn't ask him about the seat because I hadn't thought about it yet. Nope, doesn't want me to do autopilot. There we go. actually got in and out of the vehicle on the passenger side much easier than he could on my Model S or X. Personally, I think he just likes complaining because he doesn't like Teslas. He thinks they're a pain in the ass always having to charge all the time. And I'm never going to change his mind on that unless someone gave him a free car, which I'm not going to. He can go buy his own. So that's him. But on the driver's side, I'll have to ask him how he felt about the seats. Overall interior space, with 2 car seats in the back, it got extremely tight. There was barely enough room for Mr. Gino. So I had Mr. Vincent's car seat, I had Miss Mina's car seat, or Miss Porkchop I should call her, and then Gino sitting in the regular car seat with the regular seat belt, and it was extremely cramped. If you are someone that's going to have is a 3 car seat family, you are not going to be doing that in a Model 3. Not comfortably, at least. You're probably going to be forcing the doors shut. Size-wise, I would say this is pretty close size-wise to my other sister's Toyota Corolla, which for the price vehicle and what it was meant for, I mean, for the price, you're not going to be you can't really compare it size-wise to a Model S or an X. Quality-wise, on the other hand, the fit and finish on this Model 3 is actually excellent. I didn't really see any issues with the fit and finish, especially considering, number one, it's a used vehicle that was traded in, so who knows what they did to it, and number two, it's been a loaner, so you know what people do to loaner cars usually. So overall, the fit and finish is excellent on this vehicle. I'm going to show you something here. I actually got a car behind me. If you guys can see the screen, you can see the car behind me is blinking on and off there. What I've come to figure out is Tesla is actually not using the backup camera yet for Autopilot. Maybe for the full self-drive beta, but right now for Autopilot, they are not using the backup camera. So what is actually happening as the vehicle behind me is blinking in and out of the view there, it's actually happening when the car sees it in the rear side marker cameras. So just a tiny bit, and when it gets a glimpse of that, and then when it gets close enough, it's incorporating the sonar with it as well. I think there's a little bit of a suspension squeak in the rear. Might not be able to hear it on camera. So that's pedal all the way to the floor. So chill mode, of course. Now this is a long range, non-performance. So I believe 0 to 60 was just over 4 seconds. Performance should be about 3.2, which is about the same as my 90D Model S non-performance gets as well. Bring that back here. The newer Model 3s, if you open up down here, whereas this older one has 2 USB-A ports, version 2.0, the newer ones have a single USB port, USB-A, and then there's a USB-C port. I'm still not a fan of USB-C just because absolutely nothing, not one darn thing that I own except a Nintendo Switch has a USB-C. And you can still charge USB-C devices off of USB-A just with the correct cable. So keep that in mind there. There is an optional induction charging for your phones. You can shove your phone there and it will start charging. Right now my phone is controlling my VR camera. Something funny I found, because I couldn't get this to stay closed, I noticed it says, it pops up there, please close lid gently. So So the car knows I'm slamming this lid trying to keep it shut. There's a sensor there. I can't believe they took the time to put a sensor right there. I gotta go to UPS to pick up the package. So navigate to 5220 West Rawson Avenue. And I do believe I'm on Rawson Avenue. There we go. Oh, we're close. Okay. This compartment here, there's lots of storage down there. You still have the 2 cup holders here. Thankfully, they put them down here instead of up here where you want to put your arm. So that, I like, major improvement over the S and X. Lots of storage down here. Can't see too well. There's a little cubby tray. Underneath the cubby tray, there's stuff, room to store more useless crap, because everybody knows what everything you store in these things is useless crap. There are door pockets. I like the door pockets, and they're also built where you can shove like a water bottle in them. There's the door controls. There's a button on top to electronically actuate the door opener. And then there's a little pull tab in case of vehicle failure. You pull this pull tab back, and that's mechanical release. I unfortunately do not know where the mechanical release is for the rear doors, whereas the Model S has them hidden behind carpet flaps that absolutely nobody knows where they are. Window controls are same as every other car. Heat and AC. This is still the resistive heater. This is not one of the Model 3s that have the new heat pump, which is awesome, by the way, and I will touch on that when I review my sister's brand spanking new Model Y, as well as her delivery problems she had with it. The vents in this vehicle are insanely awesome. You can direct the flow up, down, left, right. This thing is like a little mini wind tunnel. The amount of airflow in this thing is nuts. About the only downside is it doesn't go to 11 like the Model S and the X do. It only goes to number 10. Same thing with audio, sound on your stereo. Didn't get the Tri-AC. Heat gets hot quick. Controls for the seat heaters. Oh, that's why I'm getting so warm. Shut that off. You have the front seat heaters right here, and then you can also control the rears on this sub-menu. So heating and AC, heating, and like I said, can't comment on the AC, but this car is not going to leave you feeling cold. I will note, and I don't know why, but there is absolutely no air coming out of the rear seat vents. I don't know if there's a problem with it. Again, this is a loaner car. Who knows what the heck's been done to it. Yes, the vents on the back are open. I could not get any airflow out of there. Didn't matter too much as it is a small vehicle. It heats up quickly. There is a cutout in... I missed my turn. There is a cutout on the rear, all the way in the back underneath the rear window. That's got a mesh vent over it that allows air from the cabin to also get into the trunk. So when you have drawing in outside air creates positive pressure in the cabin, that air will flow out into the trunk and help ventilate the trunk, keep it cooler in the summer with the air AC on, and keep it warmer in the winter. So you don't have to really worry too much about keeping, groceries cool in the summer or from freezing in the winter, I suppose. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna turn around at this Lowe's. I don't know how this Lowe's stays in business. The parking lot is always empty. Ooh, pallets. You can always use pallets. I did a really cool project last week. I took a beautiful dresser and made a pallet out of it. I kid. I took pallets and I made an actual 15-inch gauge electric railway locomotive. So that pretty much comes to the visors. The updated visors. After so many years, they finally gave us our lighted mirrors. That works great. I like that the light color on the map lights and dome lights are actually the warm color. No, I don't like the blue tint that are on the Model X or the original Model S. At some point, Tesla changed over the Model S dome light color to be the warm yellowish tint lights, which I love, instead of that bright, that solid bluish tint white. I don't like those. Those give me a headache. And of course, my Chinese wife, loves the bluish tint ones and hates the yellow because everything in China is that burning white, pure white with no color hue or color temperature whatsoever. So like that. The glass panoramic roof is awesome. That is something I wish I had on my Model S, especially to suction cup my cameras up there. That would have been very nice, but I don't. I don't think panel glass roof was an option when I got my S. Just the opening moonroof. I will not get an opening roof. Those will eventually leak. Not if, just when. Defrosters, front window defroster. Now, this car didn't get it yet, but there is a software update that's going to be coming that uses the defroster button to turn on a charge port heater, which is a nice addition. Something I wish the S and the X had already. I can tell you, I really could have used that on a number of occasions instead of trying to dig slush and snow out of a charge port, because somebody was nice enough to drop the end of a supercharging cable into a pile of snow. Alright, let's see, UPS drop point. Well, there's a UPS truck here. So, which location has the package drop? There used to be a UPS right there. I mean, US Cellular on the corner, and that was the UPS package drop. Seat reclining and controls exactly the same as the Model S and the X. There is no, right? I don't think there is. Let me check. Oh yeah, there is a lumbar support. Yep, there's a lumbar support button. Window's dry and the wipers are going off. That's the auto wipers. We'll put it back to manual. Lots of fiddling with the screens here. The tires are really low. I gotta add some air to those. In terms of efficiency, with heat on, 245 watt hours per mile. Not too shabby. With heat on, my Model S and it would be about 350. My Model X was coming close to about 400, and that's with the rear heat and AC turned off on the X. Without it, I was able to hit about 200 watt hours a mile. Extremely efficient, so about 100 watt hours per mile less than my Model S. Full charge on this one was about 320. Supercharging speeds were a little bit hit and miss. When I plugged in yesterday, it went up to, I rolled into the supercharger with about 20 miles left, and it did go up to about 137. It's a supercharger version 1 on a nice preheated battery. So it went up to 137-ish, which is the max that supercharger will output, even when my Model X could hit full supercharging speeds before Tesla nerfed it. After about 2 minutes, it dropped down to about 60 kilowatt charge rate, and then it wavered up and down, up and down. I was not sharing a stall. At about 50%, it went back up into the 90s for a few minutes, and then it dropped back down to the 50s, and then like a rock to the 40s and 30s. So supercharging rates were all over the place. I was under the impression that these could charge a lot quicker and maintain the charge rate a lot better than the Model S and the X could, at least the older ones. So I was not impressed by that. Could have had something to do with the supercharger, but considering how new the Oak Creek supercharger is, and it wasn't too busy. I think there's only 2 other cars there on a 10 stall location. That's about it for this review video. Was kind of interesting. It would have cost me, if this wasn't a loaner, $9.05 to add. I think I got 260 or 270 miles at the supercharger yesterday. So definitely it's about twice the cost of charging at home, or about 1/3 the cost of a similar sized car with gas. Not too bad. I was expecting paid supercharging to be a lot worse. That being said, both my S and my X are grandfathered in for unlimited supercharging forever, and I drive 45,000 miles a year. So for me, that $9.05 really adds up. So for me, I'm sticking with my S and the X, especially for the long haul. So what are your thoughts, your opinions? Is there something you have more questions on that I'm missing here? I suppose I did miss the little camera there. That's where the 4-way flasher button, the hazard lights are up here. After that slowdown on the freeway, I'm looking around all over the place for a hazard button. Not a single vehicle I have ever been in, and I've been in a lot, have ever had a hazard button up there. It's easy to reach, but God. I suppose, you know, when you own one of these cars, you kind of get used to where everything's located. Steering wheel adjustments are done through a menu, converts the button here. Instead of having a little control on the side, again, they're taking away more physical controls. Mirrors, you can adjust again through the screen instead of a button over here. Not really good, especially if you're going down the road and you're trying to adjust it just right. You're going needlessly through sub-menus on a computer screen, looking over here when you should be looking out ahead, straight ahead. Fold button here as well, instead of controls on the armrest. Window locks over here instead of on the armrest. Auto display brightness. The auto brightness display has been craptastic. I've gotten to the car with it pitch black outside, and the auto brightness just would not freaking dim. This thing was like a sun sitting right in my face across the black of space. Like pretty much blinding, so I had to go in and actually manually lower the brightness down. During the daytime it seems to function a little better, but at night, and it just did not want to switch to night mode even with auto turned on. You got front fogs, glove box buttons over here, so you got that. Locks. The sub menus are mostly the same as you would see for the S and the X, and of course it's going to be the same as the Y. I don't see an energy saving function for the center screen. I just could not find that. Whereas the S and the X have the option to turn on always connected or not always connected, plus energy saving features for the screen. Save a little more of that vampire load, although hopefully at this point Tesla's streamlined things quite a bit. I did not notice very much vampire drain on this car at all, especially considering the low temperatures that reach as low as the low 20s. It's 42 out right now. Regenerative braking, low and standard. However, I did hear that Tesla will be removing the option on future vehicles. I think that's a mistake. Yeah, people get used to the standard regen braking, The problem is if you're driving on a snowy or slick road, low can be very helpful, where if you take your foot off the accelerator, it's not the same as locking up your brakes. Hold feature. Now, I'm a creep on the S and the X. Mine are older. They do not have the permanent magnet rear motors. You can, on the S and the X, you can either do creep or roll. So roll is free rolling. Basically, if you're not touching the brake or the accelerator, the vehicle's pretty much like it's in neutral. Creep is similar to how an automatic transmission gas vehicle works, where if you take your foot off the accelerator, it'll always have a little bit of a forward roll. I like that. I find it a little safer, especially with a high-performance, high-powered vehicles, where a slight miss hit of the accelerator and you're driving through the brick wall at a McDonald's or a business, or right through someone's front room window or garage door. You can creep and slowly roll forward or back into a parking space. That being said, this car has the option of hold, only available with vehicles that have the permanent magnet motor. So the Raven Model S and the X, and the Model Y3 in the future Cybertruck. I actually got really used to it, and I really like the hold feature. It's very intuitive, and it allows for full single pedal driving. Very impressed. Autopilot features. This car pretty much has everything but full self-drive. It's got the enhanced autopilot. You can customize the options. Lane change notification. My S and X, well, my S doesn't have it. My X does not have the vibrate button or option. It has chime and I think something just notification on the screen. Customize summon, that's the same as the S and the X. Standby mode and the other safety features, that's all the same as the S and the X. Navigation options, pretty much the same as the S and the X. Safety and security, pretty similar to the S and the X. Excuse me. Service, you got the usual service options. Camera calibration, which is a newer feature. Software updates. In the last week, I've already gotten 5 software updates on this vehicle. Last one was installed on today's Thursday. Last one was installed on Tuesday. I had to use my cell phone as a hotspot. Wi-Fi from this did not reach my Wi-Fi router at home, whereas my S and my X do in my driveway. I even parked on the street further up on the side of the house where my router is, and it still would not connect. So I could not connect to my Wi-Fi, so I had to download the updates over my cell phone as a hotspot. The updates were about 500 megs each. Is it there? There. Tesla does incorporate a small passenger compartment camera that they say is going to be for their robotaxi fleet once it's available. Find out more. I don't know if they're using it now or not. I did experiment by covering the camera. I didn't see any difference, so I don't know. I don't think it's using it to spy on the driver as of yet. Comment in the description box below if you have any questions or want me to explain more on something. Otherwise, stay tuned for an upcoming Model Y review. Oh, and don't forget, like and subscribe. 44 minutes, holy crap, I did not realize this went that long. Alright, shut the 360 off. And shut off the big one.